Well, I'm Sue Proud. I'm the Technology Training and Outreach Specialist for MIBOR. And today we are very fortunate in that we have Chris and Jenna with us from Earnnest. And Earnnest provides a very secure digital way to move earnest money. And so I think you'll find that it's a platform that's going to save you some time. You don't have to be running around, moving checks around, picking up receipts. And it is integrated with zip forms. So the bonus to all of that is that it costs you absolutely nothing. So today, Chris and Jenna will be going through the Earnnest integration with zip forms. They're going to be covering the app, and they're going to walk you through the request process. And we will be posting this webinar, the recording, on MIBOR.com. And the easiest way for you to access that is just to go to your BLC dashboard, click on the Tech Training tile, and then go to the MIBOR Webinars tab. So if you need to use that as a resource in the future, you'll certainly have it. Okay, that's it from my end. Now I'm going to hand it over to Chris. Chris, take it away.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Thanks so much, Sue. Yeah, I'm Chris with Earnnest. I'm the VP of Sales here with Jenna. She is one of our success managers. You know what, boy, this is, gosh, probably our third or fourth time here with MIBOR. And I think the original was, I was out in Indianapolis back in, I think it was February of 2020 at the MIBOR Tech Talk with everyone. So I'm sure there's some familiar faces. Although for a guy in South Carolina, I'm glad I can join you guys from my living room and it's not February in Indy, because that is quite cold. So great to be back. Jenna is with me, as I had mentioned. Probably for all the folks that have used Earnnest, you have probably talked to Jenna or someone on her team when you were getting onboarded or had a webinar for your brokerage. So you are in very good hands. For those of you, though, who are not familiar with Earnnest, yeah, we are the largest provider of digital earnest money deposits in real estate. Our partnerships range anywhere from, First American, Stewart Title, to closing attorneys here in South Carolina, and then locally, Cressy and Everett, FC Tucker, and many, many others. So Indiana has been a wonderful state for digital earnest money. Adoption has been wonderful there. Obviously, with partnerships like MIBOR, it's great that you guys have, folks like Sue and Angie getting this kind of a new technology in front of you guys. So again, great to go through the workflow. Quick overview of what Jen and I will be covering for you guys is, as Sue had briefly mentioned, showing you how to send an earnest money request through our app. So feel free, guys, if you have your cell phone, you can download our app. You can go to the App Store, Google Play, just like any other app. Search for Earnnest with 2 N's, EARNNEST, and you can download our app and get started immediately. Another great way that I'll show you how to send a request is through our zip forms integration that Sue had mentioned as well. So that'll be the first half. I'll pull up the app. I'll send a request off. I'll pull that down. I'll show you how to send a request through zip forms, and then I'll pass the controls over to Jenna, who will act as the buyer and pay that earnest money deposit. So that way you can see the full life cycle of an earnest money request all the way through to it being paid. So I'll be sure to press pause, guys, after I show you how to send a request through through different workflows, through the app and zip forms. I'll press pause. We'll answer some questions there, and then Jenna will take it for the buyer flow. So let me go ahead. By the way, guys, Jenna is going to be manning the chat. So if you do have questions before I even get to that halfway mark, feel free to throw those questions into the chat. Jenna will be more than happy to field those for us. All right, let's jump in. I'm going to share my screen. Give me one moment. Okay, and can everyone see, excuse me, my cell phone okay right here? Yes. Thumbs up? All right, wonderful. So guys, as I mentioned, I had to sneak a quick sip of coffee there. As I mentioned, when you download our app to log in, all you need to do is input the email address. So once you input your email, we're going to email you a 6-digit security code to log in with. So it's great because you don't need to remember or store another password. I don't know about you, but I hate doing that because it gets out of control. So with Earnnest, you'll never have to remember a password. Just input your email address. We'll email you a 6-digit security code that'll be unique each time. So once you're logged in, if you haven't created an account with Earnnest yet, you'll create your account with just your first name, last name, and your phone number. Once you do that, this will be your home screen. Now, for new users, your home screen is going to have automatically built-in education prompts. So if you're a new user to Earnnest, once you log in, you'll be able to learn how to send an earnest money request all within the palm of your hand. So as an example, guys, here's a video right here. It's 30 seconds, 30 or 40 seconds long. It'll show you how to send an earnest money request. So once you get the hang of Earnnest, you can exit and close these education windows out and it'll skip over it. But our system will automatically recognize you as a new user and it'll get in there. If you ever do run into an issue or have a question, feel free to use the menu at the top left next to request. 3 lines, go ahead and click that. And under help section, you'll see support. And baked right into our app is our support. So you can chat with them. You can chat and ask questions. You can call them. Or if it's something that is not as urgent, you can put in a support ticket and ask them a question. Or if you have an issue, you can do that as well. So amazing technology right here in the palm of your hand for support, and our chat is right there. But let's go ahead. We'll dive into the workflow of sending an earnest money request. At the bottom, you'll see a big green button, request payment. Go ahead and click that. Here's another education prompt that'll come up letting you know, hey, you're going to need 3 pieces of information. Thankfully, these are 3 pieces of information that are very basic and you'll have. It's the earnest money amount, if you're going to be inputting that, the property address, and then also if you need to, the payer's email. So those 3 items. So you can go ahead and click begin. Here is where we're going to introduce you to 2 different workflows. So guys, keep in mind with Earnnest, we are a nationwide. So markets are different, right? So here in South Carolina, as an example, the buyer's agent and a buyer decide who holds the earnest money. And then in your market, similar to Colorado, like in Denver, it's the listing agent seller that decides who holds that earnest money. And we can facilitate that flow either way. So if you're a listing agent or a buyer agent, we're going to ask you a simple question. We're going to say, hey, do you have the payer or buyer's email? Yes or no? Super simple. If you have yes, if you have the buyer's email, wonderful. You can send this request directly to that buyer. If you do not have the payer's email address, no worries. You can go ahead and select no, and you can send this request to the buyer's agent. So since I know Indiana in your market there, it's a listing agent. So most of the time, many times we see a lot of the listing agents sometimes just can't get that buyer, that payer's email address. So no worries, just go ahead and send it to the buyer's agent. They can complete the request for you and then forward it on to their buyer. So we'll go ahead and do that workflow, guys. I'll select no here. I'll click begin. First thing that we're going to ask you for is, of course, what's the property address that's under contract? So super simple. I'll type in 1 Main Street here and let's see what pulls up. And here's some options that are pulling for you. So guys, this is a Google Smart Search filter, pull up options for you along the way. So I'll put it's 1 East Main Street, Fort Wayne, Indiana. Yep, that address looks good to me. Here at the bottom, I'll confirm. Next is I'm going to select who's holding the earnest money, right? What is the escrow holder? You'll notice here, guys, there's a suggested option for me. That's because I give a lot of demos and the system knows, hey, you know what? Chris always chooses best escrow. So instead of him having to search every time, we're going to put that as a suggested for him, right? So that's best escrow here. So if you're a first-time user, you can start typing in your preferred escrow holder. So Indiana, a lot of the brokerages hold their own earnest money. So search for your brokerage name and it'll pull up as an option. So this is just like a Netflix search option, guys, right? When you start typing in a movie title, it's not like Netflix shows you all the movies titles. It only shows you options based off of what you're typing in. And this filter works the exact same way. So once you start typing in, FC Tucker or whatever it is, it'll immediately pull that escrow account up for you. Okay. So I'm going to select best escrow. That's my guys. That's who I use. So I'll select that. And then here we'll put in who has the payer's information. So again, if you don't have that buyer or payer's email, go ahead and put in their buyer's agent's email and they can complete it for you. So I'll put in Jenna here, put in her email address. Okay, we'll use that. And then here is the review screen. So who should receive notifications? So guys, as soon as that buyer clicks pay and authorizes their earnest money deposit, we will auto send receipts of payment. Okay, and they'll auto send to whoever is holding that earnest money, whoever the escrow holder that you selected. You, that's listing agent, if you're the listing agent, made the request, and then of course that buyer's agent that's going to complete the request. Those three parties will automatically receive our receipt of payment. So if you want to include any additional parties, feel free to go ahead and add those right here. Add recipient, put in the lender's email. Lenders love to see our receipts of payment because we'll show the originating and the destination account. So that'll save some time for you. But if not, no worries. You can click Finish Setup. And then here's that review screen just to make sure everything looks good. Yep, that's the property that's under contract. Here's who's holding the earnest money. Here, I'm going to send it to Jenna, the buyer agent, and then I'm on that notification as well. So I'll swipe to request. Once I swipe that, that's going to generate out that request. That'll go to the buyer's agent. We'll let you know what's next. Here's another little education prompt for you that's baked into our system. So at this time, that's when that buyer agent will get an email from you, letting them know that they need to complete the request. So for the buyer agent, the only thing that they'll need to do is open it up. They'll input the earnest money amount and the payer's email, and then they'll forward it on. And then of course for you, you just need to wait for that receipt of payment to come in once that buyer clicks pay and authorizes. So super, super simple. So that's how to request through our app. Now I'll shift gears over and I'll play you a short video of how to send an earnest money request through Zip Forms. So for those of you that are Zip Forms users, right in your transaction tab, there is a super great integration through their marketplace. So let me just go ahead. I'm going to expand the video and we'll play this 40-second video for you guys.
The Lone Wolf Marketplace offers users access to Earnnest right from Zip Form Plus. From the Lone Wolf Marketplace website, you'll start by linking your account. You'll be prompted to sign in to Zip Form Plus. Inside an active transaction, click the Marketplace tab. Here, you will see the linked Earnnest integration. Click Request EMD and complete the form, including your preferred escrow holder. When everything is ready, click Request, and that's it. Requesting earnest money digitally is quick and convenient with Earnnest. To access your receipts, visit the Documents tab.
Awesome. Short and sweet, guys. Very, very simple. And we do that on purpose. So one thing I will mention, the video highlighted and reminded me, is the fact that if you're using our app, those receipts will be emailed to you. But if you do a request through Zip Forms, it'll be sent to your transaction tab. The receipts will automatically upload into Zip Forms for you. So just keep that in mind. If you're looking for that payment receipt, they'll get automatically uploaded in there for you. Awesome. So there's the two workflows, how to send an earnest money request, super simple. Before Jenna goes and acts as the buyer and pays that earnest money request, I will open it up for questions. Any questions at all, guys?
I do.
Hey there.
Hi. So I have a question. What is it? Where's the money being held? So do we have to enter our escrow business account?
Yeah, really great name. So Andrea, our escrow network, that when you're searching there, it's a pre-vetted and verified accounts. So if you're like brokerage or if your title company is not in our escrow network, we give you the option to invite them to join our network. So that way, if you do want to send and utilize our digital Earnnest solution, they'll obviously need to get onboarded, which takes 2 business days. Jenna and her team handle that. So it's super easy for them to connect their escrow account. But once they do come live into Earnnest, you can just search for them. So thankfully, we don't store account routing information. That escrow holder, once they set up their account with Earnnest, is only searchable and seeable by however they want to name their account.
Okay, so I guess I have my own. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, Andrea, go right ahead.
So if I have my own brokerage, I need to sign up. Now, is there a fee for signing up and for each individual transaction?
Yeah, great questions. Yeah, so Andrea, if you own your own brokerage, yeah, you would want to sign up your brokerage. Obviously, you're going to be holding your own Earnnest money, so you'll register your trust account with Earnnest. You'll name it whatever you want to name, and then once it goes live in our system, you and your agents will be able to search. There is no cost to you as the broker owner, or you connecting your trust account with Earnnest. There's no setup fee. There's no monthly cost associated to that. The only way we monetize our services is through a flat $15 processing fee that we automatically just charge the buyer. So you'll see that when Jenna takes control and acts as the buyer, we lay that out for them, letting them know, hey, earnest money amount that you're paying is $5,000, processing fee $15. So we put that on the buyer automatically.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
If the buyer doesn't want to pay that, is there an option for the seller to pay that? Just to make it easier?
Yeah, David, we do have partnerships where like the brokerage or the title company or whomever decides to incur that cost themselves. We can't do it like a la carte on the fly from buyer to buyer, seller to seller. But we can, if someone like, Andrea wants to connect your trust account and says, hey, Chris, you know what? We'll incur the cost of the $15. We can set it up that way. So that way the buyer doesn't even see the processing fee. They'll just see the earnest money amount. We can also split the cost as well. So if the brokerage would like to say, hey, Chris, we'll cover 7, charge 8, we can do that as well.
Chris, is this considered an earnest money check or is this considered a wire?
Neither. We're running on the rails of the automated clearinghouse. So it's completely digital. So Clark, a good way of looking at us is like, we're like a Venmo or PayPal, but on steroids. Because this is considered good funds, and with the network of communication that we create, right, where you get informed, the escrow holder and the buyer and the listing agent all get informed with an automated receipt. That is extremely unique and proprietary to Earnnest. And that's good news for you guys and your buyers, because guess what? You guys know this, outside of our industry, digital payments is commonplace. Apple Pay, PayPal, Venmo. I mean, people are doing this day in, day out. And so for the buyers, they love it because they're like, oh, this is just like Venmo. You'll see with Jenna's workflow, if you've ever used a Venmo account, set it up, you'll recognize the workflow because it's the same.
How do you ensure that the buyers don't request a refund, or like as in a PayPal, you can challenge something after the fact, and then we have to kind of justify it and it gets approved or denied, and we could be in the middle of a transaction?
Yeah, so with our system, that's another reason, and again, you brought up PayPal. Since we're doing a proprietary transfer of the funds, those funds, the buyer cannot recall them, right? So once the funds are in the escrow holder's trust account, they can't go ahead and say, hey, Bank of America, pull those funds out, or Wells Fargo, oops, I didn't want to do that. They will not have that. So the buyer will not be able to get those funds back unless, that brokerage wants to return the funds to them, like if a deal falls through.
How simple is it for them to receive the funds back? And then is there a charge to return the earnest money?
Yeah, great question. So we're actually going to be going live with the returning of the funds here in the next 5 weeks. So right now, Andrea, it's a one-way street, right? We send money into the account, but you can't return it back to the buyer. So today, if you had an earnest money deposit that needed to get returned, you would just return it however you handle that today. But in the near future, you'll be able to go in for a dashboard for an admin user and return those funds back to the buyer through Earnnest. So it'd be super simple, and there will be it'll be like a low cost. I mean, probably $2 or $3 that we can just charge the buyer if they want to return it that way, or we can point those charges at you as a brokerage. Good questions, guys. I tell you what, we'll let Jenna go ahead and act as the buyer. I'd imagine there's going to be a lot of more good questions coming our way, and maybe some of those can get answered when Jenna goes to that buyer flow.
We have a lot of good questions in the chat here, Chris, and I've answered quite a few of those. But one of them is from Dee. She says, what is the guarantee that lenders will accept this tracking? And Chris, maybe you can speak more to if there is a guarantee that we have. But Dee, I'll say I've never had a lender not accept the payment receipt that we provide as proof of payment. And I'll show you an example of that once I go through the buyer flow. It has all the information that they would need, like Chris mentioned, that originating and destination account name, without any of the sensitive information you typically see on a check, like the full accounting and routing number. It has all the information that they need to qualify this for good funds.
Yeah, no, that you pretty much hit the nail on the head there, Jenna. That's exactly correct. So for security purposes, we'll never show full account routing details, but we'll show up to the last 4 digits of each. And most lenders get that receipt and they'll say, oh, now I don't need to have, a photo, a copy of the entire bank statement for the buyer. Great. Looks like D, why not 15 guys, $15, by the way, we price it right around there because in most of the markets that we're in, it's like half the cost of a wire transfer and right around the same cost as like a cashier's check. So we rarely hear pushback from buyers on this, especially when the largest growing market for home buyers is millennials like myself. And by the way, millennials are not young. I'm a millennial. I'm in my mid 30s. And I don't even know where my checkbook's at. So you better believe if I'm sitting in my house right now and I can just pay this without finding a checkbook or driving to my bank and standing in line or meeting you to drop off a check, I'm definitely gonna pay $15 to do that. And that is what we have seen to be true. People love, even out of state buyers, if they're an hour away, half an hour, whatever. Oh yeah, I will easily pay that. So I would not worry about the 15. It's kind of a sweet spot what we found.
Sue, if you could make me co-host so I can share my screen, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, if I can do it.
Maybe you can as well.
There you go, Jenna.
Yay, thank you, Chris.
Thanks, guys.
Alrighty, and continue to fill that chat box with questions, guys. We'd love to hear it, and Chris will be manning that as I am showing you the buyer flow here. All right. I know we went through some questions there, so I'll just kind of reiterate. Chris showed you how to complete a request as the listing agent from our phone app and also as a buyer's agent from within Zip Forms. And here I am going to be acting as the buyer. So I have received the request from my agent or from the listing agent directly, and I see this email in my inbox. It says, pay Earnnest money for 1 East Main Street. And we like to give the buyer as many opportunities as possible to see all this info together, just in case something isn't right. I see have been requested by Chris to pay this much money in earnest money for this property address. That looks right to me. We do tell them a little bit more about Earnnest here, and of course, provide them right up front with our support email and phone number in case they have any questions. We have a wonderful support team. They are happy to walk your buyer through a request. If they have any additional questions, we are more than happy to help them through that. But this all looks good to me today. So I would just hit pay Earnnest money, and I'll create an Earnnest account just with my first, last name, and email. And that's, maybe takes 2 seconds. And then I am brought right here to another screen that says, please contact Chris Basinger and ask for an updated payment request if any of this is not right. So I get to see my property address here again. I see my escrow holder, and I see my earnest money amount, and that all looks right to me. So I'll hit this is correct. It's going to take me right to what we call our buyer's hub. So again, you can see I have this information in front of me again. I have my property address at the top, my name, my escrow holder, the earnest money amount. And here's where we talked about that $15 fee in the chat, guys. So $15, like Chris said, we landed there, cheaper than a wire, about the same as a cashier's check, and without any of the inconvenience of having to even schedule your bank. I know some banks are still doing that to go and get a wire, with all the added security, of course, and convenience. So we let them know about that here. So my total is going to be $5,015. We're going to ask them to do simple things for us. We're going to confirm our identity and verify the bank account. So first I'll hit confirm identity. This is just a very simple background check against our public records to confirm that this person is who they say they are. Another added layer of security, we vet all of our escrow holders and we confirm the identity of all of our payers. It's going to ask for the last four of the social, the birthday, and then the current street address. We ask them to agree to our terms of service and then hit submit. And it really is that fast. So my identity's been confirmed, super quick check against public records. And then my last step here is to verify my bank account. So we use Plaid, just like a Venmo or a Zelle. They are industry leading in what they do, security, and their processes. So I'm going to hit use Plaid. And that brings them to a screen that lets them know a little bit more about Plaid and its security. So this process is very secure, banking level security. We never see or store any of this information. So we let your buyers give them a little peace of mind here that it's completely private and secure, and hit continue. And again, this is a workflow that they're probably very familiar with, because if you've ever used Venmo, this is the exact same workflow that they go through. So all they need to do now is search for their bank. There are over 13,000 banks in this network, so it's about 97% of banks in the US are within Plaid's network now, which is great. But even if you have, say, a hyper-local credit union, you can still use Earnnest. So once I search for my bank, I say, oh no, it's not here. I can link with my account numbers if I'd like. And again, we don't store or see any of that. It'll just add another business day to the process. However, all of the big players are in here, plus tons of other funding institutions. So I'll use Wells Fargo as my bank today. I'll just click there and I'll log in with my online credentials. So this is just what I would use to log into my online banking typically. Hit submit. And it will give me the option of the accounts I have available. I'm going to pay from my $1 Million Everyday Checking. I'll hit continue. And here is a huge feature for us, guys. We check for sufficient funds right here. So no more bounce checks. We get one-time tokenized access to go in and verify that that bank account is their bank account and that they have the funds to pay. So we don't even let them proceed unless they have sufficient funds in the account right then and there. So really, really great feature. But you can see with my $1 Million Checking, I had plenty of money in the bank. So I'll hit review and pay. And again, I get to see all of my info again. I have my total amount, who's getting the money, where the money's coming from. That looks right to me. So I'll hit pay Earnnest money. And that's it. Congratulations, I paid my Earnnest money. And that's the equivalent of me handing over a paper check and the escrow holder taking it to the bank at the same time. So very, very quick. I know that Chris and I talked through all of this, but really when I send an Earnnest money request, it might take me as the agent maybe 1 minute, and then maybe the buyer takes 5, if that. So the whole process could be done in about 5 minutes. So easy. No one has to leave their house. And I'll show you an example of this payment receipt here. You can see that's real time, comes right into my inbox. Jenna, you paid this much money in Earnnest money. I have all the information I'd need here. I have who requested it, who paid it, the amount, when it was paid, and then, like we said, the destination, originating accounts, and the property address. We have this really handy little PDF that you can download and add into your .loop, or if you're using zip forms, it automatically goes into your documents tab, or you can add this to whatever transaction management platform or files that you keep. But here's our receipt. Has all the information I just reviewed. And again, this is exactly what you would use in lieu of a picture of a paper check that we typically just, scan and email to everybody that's involved in the transaction. So any questions here? So Chris showed you how to make that request. I just showed you how to complete the payment as the buyer and that payment receipt. Any questions, thoughts that we can answer for y'all?
Yeah, you know what? I'll answer. Elizabeth asked a good question there in the chat. She's, how does a brokerage or title company getting notification of the deposit? Do they need to approve the check to go into their account once the check is deposited via Earnnest? Yeah, pretty much how do they get notified? Yeah, so Elizabeth, the title company will automatically receive that receipt of payment. Whoever's holding that earnest money deposit, they will always get our receipts, which Jenna just highlighted for you guys. And then we'll also provide a admin dashboard for them. So whether that's the brokerage connecting their trust account or the title company connecting theirs, we provide a dashboard that'll show all incoming earnest money requests that have them selected as the escrow holder. We'll show them another kind of a column that shows all the incoming deposits, right? So that's when the buyer clicks pay and authorizes, it'll go into a middle column. And then as soon as they're deposited, it'll move into their deposited column. So they'll have a nice clear view of all incoming requests, authorized and deposited earnest money going into their trust account, along with those receipts of payment. And then Jenna, and my apologies, I was busy on the chat. Did we already talk about the addenda field population there?
For the escrow holder? No, we did not.
Okay. And the last way I'll say that the escrow holder can reconcile funds is dashboard, receipts. And the third way, guys, is once the funds deposit into the trust account, obviously they'll see these are unique deposits, by the way. These aren't batched, right? Some systems will batch in a whole bunch of them in, and it'll deposit in as a large sum number, but then you have to figure out, and you have to split it up, right? Like, okay, this 5,000 goes here, 1,000 goes here. With Earnnest, they're unique individual deposits. So once you see that once you see that deposit come in, you can go over to the addenda field or the description for that deposit that your bank provides, open it up, and we'll give you the buyer's last name and the property address that is associated to that deposit. So if you need to, you can reconcile funds straight from your bank account ledger. So that's another great way. Let's see here. Greg, when are we disclosing the $15 fee to the buyer? In that workflow Jenna went through, you saw there was a line item there. It said processing fee, $15. So we'll show them before they even connect their bank or before they even verify their identity. And then at the end, they have a review screen where it says, again, here's where you're sending your money. This is the amount, total amount that you're transferring, and then it'll show the processing fee split out as well. David, the limit on there is $100,000 per transfer. That's not like once a day you can only transfer $100,000. That's just on a per request basis.
Chris, did you address Dee's question about wire fraud and how they're covered maybe by E&O?
Oh yeah, D. Okay, majority of us are now paranoid about wire fraud, rightly so. Anyone know if or how E&O might cover us? Yeah, so D, we do provide, even though this is not a wire, again, this is like a digital movement of the money, which is extremely secure. This is how the Federal Reserve, by the way, I think they move 75 cents on the dollar using the ACH network because it is the most secure way to transfer money. But we do carry E&O insurance here at Earnnest as well. So we have all of the checks and balances, the security measures in place. I can tell you I've gone through E&O compliance review processes with First American, Stewart Title, Berkshire Hathaway, Keller Williams, yeah, it's quite rigorous as it should be, and we've always passed with flying colors. So you can rest assured.
Hey, Chris, do you feel like are most agents pretty open to this? Like, because I'll be honest with you, I'm already on my phone telling some of my investor clients about this. But like I said, I mean, is it one of those things like, I guess, what's the best way to sell this to another agent or to a title company that hasn't heard about this? I mean, that's kind of stupid. I mean, salesman to salesman, but still.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's a good question. I mean, yeah, this is Earnnest. We've been around for a little over 4 years now, and
Okay.
It's becoming more and more adoptable. Honestly, an analogy or what I would compare us to is probably like DocuSign. The agents have been around since like the early 2000s, right? Before it used to be no digital signatures, has got to be ink to paper, right? And you think that's crazy. Like, why would anyone make you do, ink to paper for a signature? So thankfully we're coming out of that now where folks are like, it has to be a check or it's got to be a wire. So people are more open to digital payments now, especially with COVID. when that hit and people contactless payments, that was a huge thing. But to sell at Clark for like a title company, I would let them know, hey, listen, a lot of your clients now are used to digital payments. They don't own checkbooks. Wires wire fraud is like a $1.6 billion industry. There's a third option now. It's digital payments. I'm used to doing it. My clients are used to doing it. It's free for the title company. There's no cost. It's kind of like a no-brainer. So that's how I do the title. But if you're talking to the real estate agent, you can let them know, hey, a lot of the agents in our first couple of years self-labeled us as, it's like the Venmo for earnest money deposits. So people quickly can understand that. So if you're talking to their agent, you can let them know, hey, listen, don't worry about a wire or running around a check. There's this thing called Earnnest. It's like Venmo. Download their app, and then you can search for, if you're holding the Earnnest money, you can say select, FC Tucker as the escrow holder, or I'll send you this request. It's like PayPal. Accept the request, and So I usually pivot or cast a vision that's already. We try to put it just like everyone else is doing, like with PayPal, with Venmo. You're comfortable with that. This is just like that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, good question though. Pamela, what is the financial institution that backs Earnnest in the monetary transfer? Yeah, so we partner up with some big hitters. I love that question. One of the big hitters Jenna introduced you guys is to Plaid. Plaid is used they are the industry leaders for banking verification. They work with Fannie Mae. They're used by, oh my gosh, there's a couple big mortgage companies that use Plaid. So they are a highly reputable company. We're also backed by Dwala, payment processor. They are connected to over 13,000 banks nationwide. So there are some very big, strong pillars were regulated by NACHA. NACHA is the board that regulates the ACH network. So we abide by their regulations as well. Yep, Susan, yeah, you bring up a really good point there. Is Venmo ACH, they've had security issues. Yeah, Venmo, guys, there's a reason why Venmo isn't allowed for earnest money deposits. It's because they're running on the rails of ACH, but it's a consumer-to-consumer ACH, meaning it's a very basic ACH transfer. That is not Earnnest. We have a proprietary usage of the network. So this isn't that simple, me paying Clark, right, for splitting some pizza. No, this is I guess the best way to put it was almost like a business to business transfer. So when you're using Earnnest, they can't pull the funds back. So it's extremely secure and robust. How do we sign up? Connect with Jenna. Yeah, Lindsay, feel free. I believe Jenna dropped her contact information in there, or I'll put my email in there as well. Super simple, chris@earnnest.com.
All right, Chris, I just did the same thing.
Oh, did you? Okay. Well, there you go. Got options.
Yes.
Guys, these are really good questions.
Yes. Bernie, that's a good question. What does Plaid stand for? I don't know that it stands for anything. I don't think that's an acronym. Chris, do you know?
Yeah, I don't believe that's an acronym either. Plaid. Just those smart techie people just come up with these names. Who knows? But yeah, maybe. I mean, I say that, Jenna, but I haven't actually researched it.
Yeah, because it's not all caps. It's capital P LAID. So I don't think it's an acronym.
Guys, great questions. Keep them coming. We're here as long as you guys need us.
We love questions. Thank you guys for being interactive.
Yeah. Here's another question from David. Sorry, this has already been answered, but if we are going to have the title company hold the money, there is no setup that we need, correct? Yeah, David, if the buyer's transferring the funds directly to your title company, there's no setup for that brokerage. What we love to do though, and this is Jenna's wheelhouse and her team, is we love to partner up with the brokerage in the sense that we provide you training and webinars. So that way, similar to what we've done for you today, Jenna can walk you through and her team can walk you and your agents through, hey guys, here's how to download the app. Here's how to send an earnest money request. Here's how to search for your title company, right? If you have a preferred title company that holds all your earnest money, We'll show you how to do that. We'll create e-webinars for you. Honestly, one of the huge things for Earnnest is our training. Because again, we're understanding that this is new in the industry. We just can't set it and forget it. We want to really arm in arm with you, roll that out to your agents and help in that.
Bernie also wanted to know how many states use Earnnest. I want to say 50. Chris, are we in Hawaii?
Oh, you know what? No, that's a great, no, we're not in Hawaii. But we have been just recently, a couple of folks have inbounded to us from Hawaii. I can't wait because I'm just going to take the bullet for us and go out there in person.
Right.
I'm going to
volunteer.
I'm going to do it. Tennessee. Yeah, we're in Tennessee. Tennessee loves Earnnest. I mean, that's probably one of our best states. So yeah, we're all over that. But yes, other than Hawaii, yeah, we're in every state.
Yeah, Elizabeth, did the majority of depositors use the app or via zip forms or .loop platforms? Can the buyer or agent deposit the Earnnest money? So speaking to what platform most people use, it really just depends. We have a lot of app users. Even personally, I will use the .loop or the zip forms or the app. They all talk to each other. So say I make the request in my .loop and I maybe want to do some tracking in the app, I could see both requests either way. So it depends on if I'm on the go, I might want to use my app. Maybe I'm at an inspection, everything went well, okay, time for Earnnest money. There I go for the app. Or if I'm just in front of my computer and I have all the info there, sometimes I want to use .loop. It just depends on the situation that you're in. And can buyer or agent deposit the Earnnest money? Elizabeth, if I understand correctly, are you asking like if you could do this on behalf of your buyer? Yes. Okay. So if you would be initiating the request, but I think a lender would probably have a problem with you paying the Earnnest money for your client, but that would be something you could clarify with them.
Yeah, that was a great question. And yeah, that's a good highlight there, Jenna. The fact that guys, if you're like a .loop user, for instance, if you log in through the .loop integration, it's the same login, same email, whether you're doing it through .loop or through our app. And to Jenna's point, yeah, if you send the request through one of our integrations, you can track it on your phone. It all works together. So yeah, that's great.
Is there an option for the buyer's agent to pay that $15 fee?
Oh, good question.
Yeah, Andrea. So again, we can't do it on like a la carte on a case by case basis, but we can set up. We do have partners where when they set up with us, they'll let us know, hey, Chris, we're going to make that free to our clients. We'll just incur the $15 processing fee ourselves, or they'll say we'll split the fee. But again, it's on our product roadmap. We definitely want to get there where the agent can, kind of say, hey, I'll make it free this time, or I'll pass that payment off to the buyer. That we want to get there, but for right now, it's kind of a set and forget. We can set it and it's all or nothing. Yep.
Hi, I have a question. Am I on?
Hey, you're on.
Yeah. So this is Beth. I go by Elizabeth for professional. So we're a title company and we have a mobile Earnnest money tool right now that we use. And ours is more the buyer can take a picture of their check and deposit it, or the agent, if the check is in possession of the agent, they can deposit it as well. So that was my question. They're not using their own check to deposit. Does this allow the agent to deposit if they have the check and the information?
Yeah. So I'm assuming you're talking about Zochem. Is that correct?
No, we're using, it's called Gain Clients.
Gain Clients. Yeah. Jenna, have you ever heard of Gain Clients?
I have not.
I thought I've heard of everyone. As I say, Zochem is a mobile check deposit, right? That's a mobile check deposit. So yeah, since we are fully digital, Elizabeth, there's no check even required. There's no check required at all. So it's fully digital. Again, it's just like a Venmo or a PayPal, but on steroids, because obviously we're taking much higher security precautions than just a
Okay.
basic consumer to consumer transfer.
So it would only be buyer can deposit because they're just providing their banking information, correct?
Yeah, exactly. So the buyer's agent would just send a request to the buyer,
Okay.
and then that buyer would log into their own bank account,
Okay.
select which account to transfer the money, and then it
Okay.
goes directly into your trust account. So Earnnest doesn't hold the money. We don't store the funds. We just provide that very secure, transparent movement of the money.
Right. So if as a title company, we would want to get set up with you, we could still utilize both platforms, I assume. And we've had good luck with the one we're using right now, and it seems pretty easy. What's the setup time to get set up?
Yeah, no, and that's a good point, Elizabeth. Again, we never lock anyone to saying, hey, this is exclusive. You only have to use Earnnest.
Right.
It's another option. So I'm
Right.
glad you're already looking at it in that way. But to get started with Earnnest, it's super simple. There are no integrations required on your end. It's almost like it's pretty much plug and play. We'll email you your escrow holder registration guide. And Jenna, it typically takes 6 to 8 minutes for someone like Elizabeth to register their account. You'll name it. Next business day, Elizabeth, we'll send you 2 small micro deposits for you to verify for us. Once you verify your account, you can tell us, okay, Chris, we'll go live, and you can label your account however you would like.
Right. How does it work with our bank? Because I know getting our tool set up, they had to go through quite a bit of hoops to get verification.
Yes, mobile check deposit is a bear because if you're not already in, I can't remember what it's called. I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah.
So for your bank, again, you'll just let them know, hey, Bank of America, for my trust account, turn incoming ACH on, and then you can apply our filter. We'll give you our ACH ID filter, and you can apply it to that bank account. So meaning the only ACH inbound into your trust account will have to have our ID number associated to it.
Okay,
So
that's where we're trying to figure out. We've been told ACHs we aren't allowed to do because they're not considered good funds. So that's what we run into with our bank, and that's what we're going to run into with good funds. Do you know, with Indiana being a good fund state, how that plays into good ACHs are not considered good funds? And
yeah, and honestly, when we've talked to them about the good funds, it boils down to it is a business decision at the end of the day. But you can let them know, and obviously we talk to banks all the time. But once we go through hey, this is not your standard ACH transfer that can be recalled 30 or 60 days later. And once it lands in your account, Elizabeth, they can't pull it back. So it's actually more secure than a paper check, because you cash a check, that they can pull those funds back as well.
Okay.
So with Earnnest, it's actually way more secure.
Okay. So if we need to talk more about the, proprietary wall that makes it, who would know that detail?
No, that would be me, Jenna. Yeah, we'd be more than happy to meet with them, connect with them.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, absolutely. I see David, Zochem charged an ACH fee. Yeah, Zoc, I don't know the details. They're a mobile check deposit option. They've been around for a while. A really good option, if you're into paper checks. I'm not sure their fee structure though. I just know in general, kind of Elizabeth's point, hey, if you've got a check, awesome. If you want it to be fully digital, super simple, here's another option for you.
Yeah. I'll kind of add to that point as well, guys. So Chris mentioned that he doesn't know where his checkbook is, and I would have to admit the same, although I do know I have one, so I can say that. But so with things like mobile check deposit, so check usage is actually going down by a lot, but check fraud has actually gone up pretty exponentially because of things like mobile check deposit. So with our platform, there is not fear of wire fraud or check fraud. So.
Yeah, thanks for that point. I forgot about that one, Jenna. Yeah, mobile check deposit has led to a rise of that. Good questions, guys, as always. Anything else?
Yeah, Joyce. So if the title company that the buyer needs to send their earnest money to is not registered with Earnnest, can they still send it? No. So we do vet all of our escrow holders. Like Chris said, it usually maybe takes about 24 hours to get them fully set up in our system once they're ready to roll and have connected with us. But they do need to be vetted and set up within Earnnest for the buyer to be able to send funds their way.
Yeah, it's very much a secured wall. It's not just like an open network. So yeah, Joyce, by all means, if you need to send an invite, you can do that to your title company, or you can get them in touch with us and we can reach out. Yep, more than happy to partner up with you in that. Let's see, we've got 8 more minutes, guys.
Hey, Chris, do you mind if I chime in?
Oh, hey, Angie.
Hey, I came out of hiding. I just wanted to give everybody on the call kind of some background about why MIBOR is talking about this, because Earnnest is not actually currently a what we call it, one of our integrated service partners, but because ZipForms is provided to you guys through IAR and Earnnest is integrated in ZipForms, we just thought this was a tool you already have in your toolbox, and we're just trying to get the word out, because we have for many years been having the discussion at MIBOR, and I think I saw David Brenton on the call within our technology committee a couple of years ago. We went through a whole vetting process and brought in the ZOCM, the trust funds, the various products that were coming to market at that point in time, and didn't really find a product that sort of scratched all the itches, right? that hit all of those points that we were looking for. And right about the time the committee said, we think we need to still keep looking, we're not really finding the partner that we think would be best for MIBOR, was the time that Earnnest and ZipForms and IAR kind of all culminated this relationship. So we said, that looks like a really good option. We want to support what our state association is, by default supporting. And so we entered into the conversation and invited Chris to come to Indy. If anybody was at the Tech Talk, the last one we had before the world shut down, right? They were in Indy in February, God bless them, to introduce our membership to the product. And it really has taken off. We've got good, participation from MIBOR members, from brokerages, from title companies. There were a number of them, in the room when we had that initial introduction to Earnnest, and it's been growing. I mean, I haven't seen the numbers recently, Chris, but our local market usage of Earnnest has been growing, again, spurred on by that need for contactless options for delivering that earnest money. But it really takes the people who are using it, meaning you guys that are in this virtual room, that have an interest and are using it, to spread the word so that it becomes more commonplace, and it becomes as easy as Clark saying, hey, Angie, let's split a pizza, and we go to Venmo. It becomes part of the language of our local marketplace of, hey, I'm going to shoot you an Earnnest request through Earnnest. Watch for that coming later today, since we finally, got all the documentation back that says we are pending. Watch for your Earnnest request through Earnnest or through .loop or through ZipForms, whatever it takes. It just is not part of that commonplace terminology yet. But a lot of the big companies in our marketplace have gotten set up with Earnnest. A lot of the title companies have gotten set up with Earnnest. So it's not a lack of the ability, it's just a lack of education and knowledge, which is why we wanted to invite you to this today, right? That's what we're all here for, is to spread the word, to let you know this exists. And Chris, I just shot you a message because I don't know if everybody saw the news that came out that NAR is not going to continue their relationship with ZipForms. So we'll need to navigate this relationship going forward. But it really is it's a business decision at the brokerage, at the title company level, at that escrow holder level. But you know, from the MIBOR perspective, we think this is a great tool. It's in your toolbox. It's free to you as an escrow holder. There's a nominal fee. And I am not a millennial, y'all. I'm your mom. But I very rarely use my checkbook either. I think it's becoming more and more commonplace for that digital transfer of money to not be so scary, even outside of the millennial market, to us who may have a few years on, y'all millennials, that we're finding ourselves in that same situation, in that same marketplace as well. So, you know, I would say just don't think of this as a young person's tool. I would use this. I think, honestly, my parents would use it, and they're, you know, a little older too. So it's not just a young person's tool. I think that this method of moving money is becoming more and more commonplace. And again, spurred on by the efforts of the last year to rethink that need for a contactless option for whatever reason, whether because of, you know, health and safety concerns, or simply out of a matter of convenience of, you know, I live in Hamilton County. If I sell a house, I can't, but if I sell a house in Brown County, I really don't want to have to try to figure out how to transfer that paper check to my possession so that then I can deposit it.
Andy?
Oh, go ahead.
Can you check? I know we have a mobile deposit earnest money tool that we use, and it's not considered an ACH. And even with that, I'm noticing some of the realtors are pushing back a little bit, not in a bad way, with a reason because they're scared about security, which they should be. And when I reassure them this is not an ACH, a lot of times that helps and they go ahead and utilize our tool. Can you guys do a little bit more research on the ACH aspect of it? Because if this platform, I'm not discrediting Earnnest because I think it sounds like a wonderful product, but just for clarification for agents to know that if this is an ACH type of product, more details about why that is still secure, because sure. I'm afraid we're going to get pushback. I want everyone to start using this. I want to get signed up if it truly is considered not an ACH, where we won't get any question about good funds, because title companies have, you know, very high standards, and so do brokerages, to make sure that those aren't considered ACH transfers.
Yes, and I know Chris has provided me in the past with documentation to that effect. So I'll make sure I have the most updated versions of that and send it your way. Absolutely.
Yeah, Angie and Jenna, I believe we do have some updated documents around our proprietary uses of ACH.
I'm grabbing those links now to put in the chat.
I knew it, girl. You're so good. Okay. On top of it. You know what's funny, Elizabeth, is with mobile check default and checks in general, it actually is there's different codes, SEC codes with the ACH network, right? There's a lot of them. And checks and banks, it actually is a ACH transfer off of that check, because all that bank is doing is taking that account routing number, using it and transferring the money. So it's just kind of interesting, because checks have been around, guys, since the 1800s. So they're just used to it, and they just assume that it's okay because it's been using. So when a new player comes into the industry, you know, and we're like, hey, we're way more secure this. And rightly so. It's something new, and so people are, you know, kind of arm's length away.
Yeah, and I hope I didn't sound. I want to have those tools because we want to start using it. We want to start encouraging. If we sign up with your company, I think that's great. Then we have that automatic. This is why it's not. It's good funds. We can transfer it. Just more to sport.
Yeah, you need to be armed with the right materials so you can address those concerns. So no, totally with you.
Yeah, and
I'm sorry to interrupt everybody, but unfortunately, we have a class starting on the same channel right now. And I apologize for that. So
she's kicking us out, guys. That's what she's meaning.
Oh, Sue, I thought an hour would be plenty. Shoot, I should have known better.
Oh, then I got involved.
It's like Disney World. Okay, Everybody move, get on out, move,
Yeah.
get out.
Come on.
Next. All
Wonderful.
right, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. If you continue to have questions, reach out to Chris at Earnnest. You can reach out to me or Sue and kind of continue the conversation there. Dee, I'll give you a call.
Wonderful. Thank
Really
you
good
guys.
webinar. Thank you guys.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone.
Take care.
Take care.
Thank you. Thank
Bye-bye.
you.